Oh, all right. One more time. This should work. How was that, Corey? Bro, how was it? Oh, we fixed it. I have no idea what was going on, but I recorded it and it sounded pretty horrible. So, okay, so I think I got it fixed. So I'm gonna try to we can just listen to some music until people come in. I hope that this music plays. Should work, but it doesn't seem like it is. Can you guys hear the music too? Hello, Jason. What's up, man? Working out some technical difficulties. I had all this figured out, and then my trumpet mic stopped working, and now. All right. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's different. It's working just a second ago. Fuck it. All right, I'm just gonna start practicing. I don't know what else to do, so I'm just gonna start practicing. We're going at whatever beats per minute, 75 beats per minute from 7 on. Here we go. Man, I played that whole thing with my mic muted. Today is not my day for streaming. Here we go again. Okay, so there, I just wanted to get through it, try to figure out how this thing was supposed to go. This piece is, as anyone who's learned this piece would know, it's proven to be really annoyingly difficult because the tonality is so foreign to me. So I think I should slow it down even slower than this. So maybe we'll go at like 65. And just try to get some good repetitions on it. Like I said, it's very hard for me to hear this, so I feel like I'm not doing myself any favors until I really understand the intervals and how this goes. So here we go. Michael, how are you? So glad you had joined us. Chris, thanks for joining. Jen and Audrey. Audrey, hope you're well. So that was better. I felt that was much better. I'm just going to do it again, and hopefully I can ingrain it just a little bit more so that when I decide to speed it up, it actually goes well. Here we go. What? Okay, so you can watch a show, yeah. That's fine. Yeah, no problem. Um, sure, 2 shows. All right, so that went pretty well. Also, I thought so. I'm gonna do it one more time, and then I'm gonna try to speed it back up to 75 and see how it goes. Kevin, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining again. So, obviously, I can play it at that tempo, so it's definitely well worth my time to go back and make sure that I have it in my ear. I definitely have it a little bit better. So we're going to go back to 75, and we'll even see within this little mini practice session that I have here what the difference is between how I played it in the beginning and then that time. Wonderful. So there we go. I couldn't play it when I tried to start it that way, and then that time through, it went really well. So here's 2 more times at that tempo, and then we'll move on to the next section. I have let's see, a Sennheiser E609 mic for the trumpet. I have a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 for my interface. Sorry, I keep forgetting to unmute the mics. A Sennheiser E609 for the trumpet. A Scarlett 2i2, Scarlett Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 for my interface. A Samson Q2U for my vocal mic. And yeah, so that is... Yeah, it's so weird, so different. I try to remember every little tiny detail, and if I miss the one detail, like turning my vocal mic on, I just sit there and look really dumb for a second. But I will learn. I'm dedicated to learning, so it can hopefully help as many people as possible. So, here we go. All right. Danny boy, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well, dude. Been following you on Facebook. Hope things are going really well for you, man. See, I'm glad you guys everything's okay. Anyway, we are now gonna move on. This way, this is nice because I don't have to move this as much. So I'm gonna use a Dennis Wick mute for this section. I find Dennis Wick, although it's not the easiest or most in tune mute to use, I find that it sounds the best for, you know, nice and bitey type things. So this is gonna be the same deal. We're gonna check out the tempo. Written here is 152. It's been crossed out to 146. So let's check 146 first. And then 152. Kind of like 146 better. So we're gonna take 60% of 146. That's 87.6. Let's find out what that sounds like. Do do da dee da da dum. Do da 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 dum. Do 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 dee da da dum. Da 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 dee dee da dee da dee da dee. So we're gonna take off the subdivision because it's got and let's just assume I'm not gonna be able to play it at that tempo. So let's bump it back to, what were we at, 88? Let's bump it back to 75. Nice and slurred. Here we go. So wonderful. Just like the previous section. Michael Harper, how's it going, man? Cody Bowman, one of my oldest friends. Hope you're doing well, man. As is the same as that previous section, it's incredibly annoying how atonal that section is, and how much I can't just rely on it. So if anybody has any background on what scale I'm looking at here, that would be wonderful, because as far as I can tell, there's not much to rely on. So I'm just going to keep working through it. Yes, Cody, you are right. I just talked to you yesterday, but I was trying to give you a nice and extra special shout out, so beggars can't be choosers. Professor, glad to have you this time. Yeah, it's just all over the place. For everyone who's joined us recently, who may not have heard when I started talking about it, the goal tempo of this is 146, so I'm trying to get some repetitions in at 60% of that, which is 88. Unfortunately, I can't play it at 88, so I bumped it back to 75 beats per minute, and we're going from 12 up here down to 15 down there. So here is another run, my third run, and then we'll try to speed it back up. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and Joel, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm gonna go ahead and speed it up to 88 again. Now that I've gotten some of the groundwork done, and we'll see if that work made it so that I can play it at 60%. All right, so just the same as the last one, or the last section rather. It worked. So this is kind of to prove that even if you pick a slow tempo, sometimes just doing a slow tempo isn't enough. Sometimes we have to pick a slower tempo than even we want to go, because we need to find where we can do it, where we can play it, where we can hear the tonality and all those kinds of things. So when I play a piece like the Böhme Concerto or something like that, where it's tonal, it's not nearly as difficult for me because I know I can rely upon hearing it in the key of F minor concert, G minor on the B flat trumpet. So this, since I don't know, it has to go even slower at the beginning until I really get this, like I said, these intervals and this tonality in my ear. And then I need to, as I'll go through this, I'll need to stay slow then. Continue staying slow so that I can ingrain it over the course of time, get lots of perfect repetitions at slow tempos so that when it's time to speed it up for real and it gets closer to whenever I may perform it, we can do that. So here's another rep. Hey, Will, welcome back, man. Sorry about before. The microphone, not even sure at all what was going on, but we got it fixed. Didn't figure out the microphone. I was saying, sorry, Will, welcome back. We got the mics fixed. Everything's better now. One more time at this tempo, and then I'll talk some more. All right, so I basically achieved the goal I set out. The goal I set out at the beginning of this, I think, I'll look back and maybe I'm wrong, but I just wanted to be able to play from 7 to 15 all at 60% tempo. So to check all that out, we're going to do it at 65% tempo one time to see if everything's in working order. So I think the first tempo was 126 times 65. So we'll just go at 80. And then 146 times 0.65. Oops, that's a bigger number. 146 times 0.65. 95. So our starting tempo is going to be 80, and I'll bump it up to 95 when I get to the muted section. Okay, so goal achieved. The major focus of this was just trying. It's basically just trying to figure out how to play it, right? For those of you that may have been in my first stream, it did not go well at all. And mostly because I just couldn't hear it. I certainly can play this section. I just couldn't hear the intervals, you know? So I didn't know where to go. It's the idea that if you're trying to find something or find somewhere to go, having a map or some sort of GPS is certainly preferable to just wandering around aimlessly until you find it. So for me, slowing it way down allowed me to learn it, you know, learn what it sounded like. And I think the results, even in this individual session, speak for themselves in that I went from struggling to play at the beginning of the session to I could play it at 65% of the tempo. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. It means I can play it at 65% of the tempo. But if we're thinking linearly, if next time I do 70% and 75 and 70, 76, 80, 82, 85, if I'm able to add these little incremental things over the course of 3-4 months, I could probably get a lot of progress done. And over the course of 8 months to a year, I'm sure I could basically memorize this piece and having perfect repetitions with the ability to play it perfectly, so to speak. So I hope this all makes sense to everybody. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if my work on the last 2 pages stuck at all. So I'm going to find a tempo that's somewhere around 65% and just try to see if I can play through the last 2. If there's any questions that anybody's thinking of, feel free to leave them there. I can see them in the chat, and I'll check it out. And if not, I'll just keep plugging away. So I know, let's see what's written. If you go back just a little bit, it's written 132, but last week we established that my goal tempo was 128 beats per minute. So just a little bit less than that. So 128 times 0.65. We're going to try to go at 83 beats per minute. All right, we skip that. Okay, so I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to need a little break. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm a little tired. Yeah, especially when learning things, I tend to slur everything. And really the biggest reason is when from Barbara, everybody should know Barbara Butler in this. I guess I'm not talking to people who don't at this point, but Barbara would talk a lot about how we need to solidify what the right way to play everything is. And so ultimately, I want to be able to play all this, no matter how long or how short, with a healthy body of air underneath everything. And so for a very long time, I slur it. I even try to be able to slur it up to tempo. Sometimes that's really, really difficult to do, depending on how fast it is or how angular it is. But I like to do that as far as I can get into the process, so I know essentially that I'm not relying on anything else other than my air to be able to play it, and that my articulation, in terms of tonguing hard, tonguing soft, whatever it may be, is sort of in addition to what I'm able to do, rather than sort of I'm relying on that as a crutch almost. I find that when people don't use their air and people don't blow through things, and rather they try to just shove the air out of their instrument, it creates this sort of this feeling where they're working too hard, basically. And I think that ultimately, I feel that this not only gives me a healthy stream of air, but it also kind of helps me find the right balance between my air and my chops and how much they should work. And it's just, like when lifting weights and things like that, when you're learning a movement, ideally, the fewer the variables you're dealing with, the better. So slurring is just the fewest variables involved while trying to learn any particular skill on the trumpet. All right, back to the beginning one more time. The only section I realized that I don't. Did I have the trumpet mic muted for that? I think I did. I'm really sorry, guys. Still getting used to this. So the only reason that I didn't slur the double tongue stuff is because when I have long extended double tongue things, I like to right from the beginning practice the double tonguing so that it's just ingrained. It's the way that it should be, and the way that I like it to be. But I know that I double tongue well, and that I've worked out all the details to make sure I know how to double tongue well. So excuse me. So for somebody who maybe doesn't double tongue as well or needs to work on that, they may not be able to do that. They may need to slur those double tonguing sections a little bit more in order to be able to do that effectively. So part of the reason I'm able to learn this maybe quickly, more quickly than other people, or at least at the rate that I am, is partially due to the fact that I play the trumpet well, right? So the better you play the trumpet, the faster you can absorb material because the fewer things you're working through in terms of, if you double tongue well, if you have good range, you have good low range and all those kinds of things, then you're not fighting that as a player. So I think that this process hopefully will also show, too, that there's a lot of merit in not only practicing the piece or the pieces you may be doing for a jury or a recital or an audition, but also super unbelievably important to just get better at our instrument, right? So Barbara would often say that we should have 2 sessions per day, one day in the morning and one session in the morning and one session in the evening if we can do something like that. She didn't necessarily say how long they would be, but the first session would be focused purely on fundamentals and getting better at the weaknesses we have in our playing. She would say that getting better at fundamentals is kind of like you're cooking, and so you have a stove, and you have lots of pots around the stove, and the burners in the front are the hottest burners, and the burners in the back aren't as hot. So you're basically constantly trying to juggle what you're working with, right? Up front, that's the thing you're stirring, that's the thing you're working with, but you can't let the other ones get too cool. So when this one gets hot and you realize, something in the back is too cool, you have to switch it out to make sure that you're touching those other things as well. So it's constantly a juggling act, and we have to make sure that we're touching lots of different things in terms of fundamentals. The majority of my practice is fundamentals and etudes. I do something like this. I'm doing it for the stream, so you're seeing me practice this purely for the stream, for the entirety of the stream, but that's because I'm dedicated to practicing only this on stream to talk about how to get better at that. So, I think it's important to always be trying to practice the things that we need to make us better as individuals on our instrument, right? And then also get better at the things that we can get better at on the pieces that we play. So, I don't know. I feel pretty good about that. We covered today. For anyone who was not around, we covered from 7 here all the way down to 15, which is 2 pages. And then we just went over this page all the way down to this part. I don't feel the need to constantly practice this stuff right here because I understand it. So this material down at the bottom here, I will practice, but I don't feel like, my lip is not remotely in shape to do that right now. As you can hear, I'm getting a little tired. Things aren't working as well, which is completely fine. So we covered 4 pages. We see up here there's a 7. If we scroll up to the top, we have page 1. So I've learned 4 of the 7 pages. And the other ones are, I don't think, nearly as bad, nearly as difficult to sort of understand and go through. So it should be, I'm going to try to learn the rest of the piece next week. And then so we'll take in 3 pieces to sort of get a baseline understanding of how the piece goes. And then we will go about trying to make it better. So does anybody have any questions about anything that we've been talking about? My stuff keeps getting muted. So part of the reason for all this kind of stuff is just for the dialogue, the interaction with people. So if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'm trying to just be as open and be as giving, so to speak, in terms of I just enjoy helping people. I've enjoyed doing master classes and things like that, and I feel like this is kind of a neat way. So obviously everybody who's here gets that, and so anyone who's watching, who may be watching now after the fact, please stop by on the actual live stream. Hopefully, if anybody who's in the live stream right now, in the chat, if you want to comment on having the music on the screen, I thought that might be a nice effect. Being able to see what I'm playing while I'm playing it. Went to some efforts today to get that set up, so hopefully that was a worthwhile thing. Let me know if you agree, or if you'd rather it just be me on the screen, just talking about it. Just trying to do this, trying to make this as beneficial for whomever is watching as possible. So I'll stick around for another second. I'm going to try to get this other video loaded up and working because it's pretty amazing and I would like to share it. This is a friend of mine, but I can't get the desktop audio to necessarily work. Well, I can't get it to work. Sorry. Go watch this video. Go watch this video. It's incredibly funny. It's maybe the funniest video I've ever seen in my life, basically. It's called The Voice Lesson, and it's the Carson brothers. This guy right here, I roomed with. He was our former principal bass in the Alabama Symphony. This is his brother Neil, his twin brother Neil, and this is his older brother Quinn. And these guys are some of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. So if you want 2 minutes of your life to be the most joyous 2 minutes of your life possible, I would highly recommend checking that out. So, yeah, I'm close to done. If there's anything anybody wants me to do, I'm happy to do it. I know people just joined. Trevor, what's up, man? Daniel. But if not, I'm probably going to sign off and be done. So also, just if anybody's interested, I have some projects that are looming that I think are going to be pretty cool. So when they're out and they're ready to go, I know that's pretty vague, but I feel like that's how people do it, right? They talk about projects and how secretive they are, but they're super excited about them. So I'm doing the same thing. I got another project lined up besides this live streaming thing. So hopefully it's going to be a really, really cool thing as well. And yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining me on this stream. I'm going to let it go. And yeah. Don't hesitate to reach out on my artist page here if you need anything. Take care.